Hello everyone, Denise Carpenter from ReikiAssociates.com here, and today we're going to continue on with the playlist, My Journey in Japan. So I've done the first video about the difference between the two styles of Reiki, and this time I'd like just to speak a little bit about the difference in our cultures. So we all know our Western culture, we're results oriented, we work with competition in a very we thrive through competition, I guess would be the way to say that. We're learning that there are other ways possible, but we're not quite there yet. One of the first things that struck me when I arrived in Japan, first of all, how very many people there are in Japan. Secondly, I was tall in Japan, which was kind of fun. I'm not tall in Canada, but in Japan I was on the taller side. And then the third thing that I brought back, and I hope to continue within my own realm of experience, is how very polite and how very courteous the Japanese people were. I was traveling with two other women, and we were always treated with courtesy. And I was so very impressed with how courteous and polite they were with each other. Even driving, when we were on buses or in taxis, in Tokyo, which I think the population of Tokyo is almost the population of Canada. So it's a huge, huge city. And the first thing I noticed is nobody was blowing their horns at each other. Nobody's yelling at each other. If you wanted to merge into a lane, if you're coming off a ramp and you want to merge into one of the driving lanes, you just put your blinker on and the car that's there will just hold back and you can just merge in. So kind of no fuss, no muss. They still drive at the same speeds we do here. I was amazed in the city that the bike lane, the bicycle lane, the one that had the scooters and the bicycles and the more least protected ways of travel were right beside the lanes where the cars and the trucks were. All the time there, I didn't see a single accident. So that was awesome. And one of the other pieces that I quite enjoyed is you do not jaywalk in Japan, and that's out of respect for the drivers, the timing, how it's all set up, the flow of people. And I've brought that back to Canada. I tried to bring back elements of the politeness and courtesies offered, because I found I was lacking them in my own life here in Canada. And my hope is by modeling them, or at least bringing energy to them, I can influence a little bit more of that here. So it was awesome to be with so many people where everyone was just so respectful of each other. No one yelled at each other. No one cut each other off in traffic. No one, even when you're walking down the sidewalk, if you're walking, let's say, in one direction on the sidewalk, you stay on one side of the sidewalk. If you're coming back the other way, you walk on the other side of the sidewalk. And then if you're not walking as quickly as the person who's coming up behind you, they just wait. They just slow down and they wait until there's an opportunity for them to come around you without imposing themselves on you. So it took me a couple of days to get used to this level of courtesy, I have to say, which surprised me. And then as a Canadian who I thought I was a polite being, a courteous being, I realized I was falling short in so many ways. So I brought back the desire to up my game in those areas. So every once in a while now I'll crosswalk, but that thought comes back of the disrespect that I'm offering to the kind of the laws of the land, the rules of the land, the drivers who may have to keep their eyes or be more alert for people who crosswalk or dart out between cars. And also how I've been speaking with other people when I'm in interaction with them about bringing forth the practice of deep listening. So I try to really just hear what they have to say rather than anticipate what they have to say and either finish their sentence or respond from my perception of what they might be saying. So that's been interesting to really deeply listen. And again, just be aware of where I was falling short there in some ways. And then the other thing is being consciously patient, just very, very patient with others when I'm out and about um, in the public, whether it's in a grocery store, whether it's walking down the street, whether it's driving, whatever it is. Bring an element of conscious patience to that. And I can wait. I can just take a breath and I can wait and I can be patient. So it's been lovely. So we'll talk some more about the culture in more of the videos. The only other piece that I would add that struck me was when we were getting ready to ride the Shinkansen, the bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, there was an issue with my ticket. And the clerk that was behind the service desk doing the work, first of all, had very rusty, almost non-existent English. So just through the capacities we had, he spent half an hour with us working through this issue with my ticket. And there was never a sense of needing to rush. There was never a sense of, oh, here are the foreigners, blah, 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 that we do sometimes here. He was just very calm and very patient. And then at that office, if a lineup was created behind us while he was doing the work on my ticket, they just simply opened another booth so people could go through and be quickly put through the line of whatever they needed to have done. So it was truly amazing to be wrapped in a culture of such deep respect. And I guess the only other thing I would add there as well would be it wasn't just deep respect for people, it was deep respect for the environment as well. So there was no garbage on the streets. You didn't eat while you were walking down the streets. If you were eating, you sat on a bench, or you ate at home, or you ate in restaurants, but you didn't eat on the streets. So there's no coffee cups, there's no spillage marks on the sidewalks. It was just so clean, just so very, very clean, which was again telling of how we live our life here in Canada. So I'm going to try and up my game and just to be more respectful, more aware of the environment, more respectful, more aware of how I am with other people. And I'll just invite you to have a look at yourself and see where you fall into those different, that spectrum of where you might be. And maybe it's time we all learn a bit from each other and how to be a bit more polite, more courteous, more patient with each other. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.